Today we're going to talk about things that you likely don't know. Well, I'm assuming you don't know about me and life behind the business. Welcome to the Up in My Business podcast with me, Lex Lancaster, where you'll get an inside look at all things tech, business, and my life as a physical therapist turned digital operations expert. You'll hear all about my lessons as a business owner, the ins and outs of tech for your business, and more. From SEO, websites, and email marketing to automations, launches, and copywriting, I've got you. I'm so excited you're here. Let's dive in. Welcome back to another episode of Up in My Business. I decided to do this episode a little bit different as far as we're not making a tactical episode. I know that is always the way that I lean, but in the practice, if you will, of what I'm going to be starting this week, which is a creative writing class, which I'm super excited about, I am going to lean, as far as this one episode goes, I'm going to lean into a storytelling-esque episode in a way, but more or less just logistical things that you may not know about. And I'm going to call it a behind the scenes look, which obviously Up in My Business, it's kind of leaning into the podcast name, but behind the scenes look of a day in the life without me needing to film it, which I think it might transition into a week in my life. And it's going to feel a little chaotic because I'm just going to, run through my week and talk about what that week looks like for me and give you some behind the scenes details of some things that you may not know or things you may have assumed, but I don't know, maybe I'll confirm or deny stuff that you've assumed. And yeah, I'm excited because I would love to film a day in the life, but I'm going to be completely honest with you. It's mostly me sitting at my desk. Like, I know that sounds like you would assume that, but I'm just saying that I have no interest in filming. I'd be like, okay, I get up. I'm going to go through this, but this is what I do every single day. And it's very repetitive. But going to walk through that. And as I had mentioned, going to be starting a creative writing class, which I'm excited about. In college, I had this professor who basically, that's a whole other story, but college. So, okay, well, we'll just dive right in. So the reason why I'm taking the creative writing class is because in college, I took a creative writing course. Well, quick breakdown on my college. In high school, I took college classes. So I went into undergrad as a junior, which I feel like people hear that and they're like, what? So I actually could have graduated college as a 20-year-old undergrad and then did whatever I needed to do. But because I was a pre-med major, I basically decided, and because I was so dumb at the time, but it is what it is. What I did and what I chose to do made me who I am today and allowed me a lot of experiences that I never would have had otherwise. So I'm very grateful. But looking back and looking at my student loans, I think I would have made a potentially different decision, but I'm grateful for the decision I made. As a junior in college, when I went in as a freshman, so I'm a freshman, first year, I was technically a junior academically. I still had to take the intro bio classes. I was a pre-med student. And pre-med was a big deal at Utica College. They treated us I will say it's a very rigorous program. The pre-med program, biology program I was in was much harder than PT school. Hands down, it was so much easier. To put it in perspective, I had to work really hard in bio. And I mean, I didn't really have a life. And I said no to playing sports in college because I couldn't for various reasons. But it was a very, very difficult program. And grades wise, I believe I graduated with a 3.6 or 3.7 for bio, and PT school, I graduated with a 4.0. So I will be blatantly honest with you, PT school was so easy compared to bio. And the funny thing is, and the reason why I say that, I'm not trying to brag, I'm just being realistic here. And I promise it fits into the story that I'm going to tell you in a second. Also, just, I guess, learning more about me. My bio program, because I was in the bio program, when I switched from pre-med to PT, the PT faculty and the president of the PT folks, they decided that I was automatically accepted into PT school because of the rigorous bio curriculum. And they were like, well, we don't really care that you haven't taken anatomy and physiology since high school, because I took that in high school as a college course. They're like, we don't really care because we know that you're a bio student and that program is so difficult that we know you'll be fine in PT school. So again, anyway, I was in a bio program and I went in as a junior. And so in my actual sophomore/junior year, so my second/third year of college, I had already completed everything necessary to graduate. So like I could have graduated based on required courses for the bio curriculum. Plus I stopped with the chem minor because I didn't want to take Orgo 2. If you've taken Organic Chemistry 1, you know exactly why I didn't want to take Orgo 2. But I had fulfilled all my requirements, and during my third year and fourth year of college, I got to take a bunch of really fun classes. So because I said to my parents, I was like, I want to have the college experience. I don't want to graduate after 2 years. I want to make sure I have the full college experience. And yeah, that cost me a lot of money, but also it was wonderful. It exposed me to so many things. I was able to be a part of things that I never would have been able to be a part of. I was in so many extracurricular things. Like genuinely, I'm very glad I stayed. Financially, it was kind of a silly decision looking back, but like college is college. You only get one shot. So you can't go back and do it again, especially not in the same way. Like I could go back to college right now, but I'm not going to be the weird mid-30s person who is hanging out with 18-year-olds. Like that's not how it works. So you only get one shot, and I decided to stay. So I took a creative writing class with this lovely professor, and she changed everything for me. She was a very eclectic person and a very creative person, and the requirements that she had for the class they were very involved. We had to go to poetry open mic nights. We had to go to local poetry cafes. We had to go, not speak, I don't want to call it speak, but share writing. And she was very different in the way that she wrote. Her style of writing was very different, and she was definitely a creative writing professor on purpose. But she changed my experience in college because she showed me what it was like to be in a class that was basically fun. A lot of classes I took, yes, they were different, and they were classes that I enjoyed. I will say that I enjoyed them. However, the purpose was not fun, and creative writing, the purpose was fun. And that was just a huge game changer for me. And I really, really love to write. And I discovered that I have a pretty decent ability to write in that course. And so when I was, thinking about what I'm going to do this year, and my word of the year being nourish, I was like, what can I do to nourish my life and business and what have you? And I wanted to get back into writing. So taking a writing course, and that's why I'm talking about, I have no idea why I'm now talking about the writing course, but here we are. So writing course is starting this week and you're going to get the storytelling aspect. And so I'm going to start practicing more storytelling. I do have this like pipe dream of starting a paid personal blog, which will be a different website, I think. And it's going to be more or less like storytelling, and it will be paid, mostly because my storytelling, I'm not going to be, reserved in my storytelling. So I don't want this to be public facing. I don't want people who, don't have access to me in that way to follow it. And I'm undecided if it's going to be a paid blog or something I share a link to. It's like private, if you will. I don't know yet, but I do not want it to be public facing, just because there are things that I don't want random people reading or people, lurkers reading. Like, I'll be blatantly honest, like I just don't want it. So I'm deciding how I want to share my writing and how it's going to feel good. And then it's also going to play into something else that my pipe dream that I have not shared. I've only shared that with one person. So not sharing that here, not because I don't want to, but because it's a pipe dream. It's something that I'm hoping will happen in the next 10 years, but I don't know. So again, creative writing, yay. And storytelling, yay. So I'm going to practice a little bit of storytelling with my voice this week for you. Another business update. So I am currently in the process. So I have switched my scheduler. The way I have scheduling done on the back end right now before I had current clients and then new clients. And it was split up for discovery call, coaching calls. And it was, obviously new clients have coaching calls and discovery calls, and then existing clients have coaching calls. And my availability is different for those people. So if you're an existing client, you get way more hours accessible to me. And if you're a new client, you get way less hours, because that's just the way that I like to run my business. And I like my current folks, of course, to have more access to me should they need it. So it was split up that way. I have recently split out discovery calls, and I think I'm going to stop taking discovery calls until probably June or July. I have not made the official move yet, but I have some things on my docket, including a Google Ads course that I'm building out, and I just don't think I'm going to take new clients. So I'm on the verge of making discovery calls inaccessible. I will likely make a paid consult for 15 minutes, which will be similar to a discovery call, but I already have a 15-minute coaching call, but just changing the name or adding a new service called a paid consult, because that way at least booking will be compensated time. And I'm just discovering that my website and my service brochure are so descriptive that there are times where discovery calls are not being used to get further clarification, and they're being used for coaching or trying to be used for coaching. And so I want to give people an opportunity. Now, obviously a 15-minute coaching call is just that, but if it's not worded accordingly, then folks don't know that. So I recognize that is a fault in my messaging. So I'm going to adjust that. But discovery calls, I think I'm going to hold off until June or July. And that's like just discovery calls. Upon my assessment of my business and like looking at my word nourish, like I'm not trying to add more. And I have limited availability. And I'm going to talk about that in a minute. You'll hear why I'm thinking about this and what has brought me to that decision. But it's just important to me to prioritize myself and my life, and being able to scan that brick at the end of the week or the end of the day and play piano and volleyball and whatever else. And my business fits into said life. And I'm super grateful for the demand and such. And I'm genuinely like super grateful. I don't have it in me to want to hire. I just don't want to. So I'm making decisions from that place and from a place of nourishing rather than expanding, and feels good, but it is definitely, it is also a lift to figure out and do. So I'm going to jump right into the episode now, because it does have to do with all of this stuff. And again, I'm going to approach this as my prompt in my head was, what do you not know about me? Meaning like, what are things about me that you may be surprised about, or just behind the scenes looks. I do feel like there are some things where if I follow a professional athlete or a creator or whatever, I'm not nosy, but I'm like, what does life look like outside of your professional stuff? Like, what does it actually look like? Do you grocery shop? Like, how does that work? Like knowing they do, or maybe they don't, but just super things like that. I'm just going to share that type of stuff with you, because again, if you're listening to the podcast, you're someone who likely, I think stats are a really interesting thing. I don't have thousands of listeners on my podcast. Any given week, I probably have between 45 to 50 people who download the episode. So I know this is not 300, 500 people. And I feel like it's important to just, cater to the folks who are consistently listening. And I'm just genuinely appreciative of that. So behind the scenes look, if you will. So I'm going to just go day by day, I guess, and give you a look. So I'll start on like any weekday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Everything is really similar. So on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, for sure. I get up 6:45, 7-ish. There's no alarms. I don't have an alarm set. My body just wakes me up. I will always have morning coffee. I go down and I make a half a pot of coffee. I usually have 2 cups every day, and Shante will have 1. That's my morning. Just like a general quick, I come upstairs, I sit in my rocking chair. Sometimes I'll do work. Sometimes I will read DMs. Sometimes I will scroll social media. Sometimes I will read a book, but that's not often. Sometimes I will get the urge to work. So morning time is oftentimes my let's go get work done time. And so I will sometimes work and get some work done in the early morning hours of the day. Every single day, we have breakfast around 9:30. We eat together at the table every day. I cook while Shantae walks Moose, and it's such a nice little teamwork situation. She gets that part done and I get the cooking done, and then we'll have breakfast and then on with our day. So that is the morning routine for me that I don't make exceptions for. And at this point, if I do make exceptions for it, I typically end up getting annoyed. Meaning I don't start my day face to face with people or client work until 10 a.m. because it allows me to do that whole morning routine and not feel rushed. That was something that I really didn't like about client care, is that, and working at a clinic, every single experience I had, I was out the door by 6:30 and then I had to be treating patients by 7. And it was just, my brain is just not yes, I can do computer work, but interacting with humans at 7 a.m. is just not my jam. So if you're wondering, no, I don't want to talk to anyone on the phone in the morning. I rarely want to talk to anyone on the phone ever, but definitely not in the morning. I'm not a morning talker, and I don't like lights on in the morning. I'm not a lights on person. I won't walk into the kitchen and turn the lights on. I will be in the dark, and Shantae will be like, do you want a light on? So I don't like overhead lighting, so I won't turn that on in the morning, especially in the morning. So I really like natural light. So I'm not a lights on type of person. As far as, this is a random thing, but you've heard it before. Everything is pretty much automated. So breakfast is the same every single day. We have the same thing. Turkey, bacon, cottage cheese. Shantae has a burger every day. I will have cottage cheese, the Good Culture, and it's the best. Fruit. We always have fruit. And then I have gluten-free bread, not because I'm gluten sensitive, but because why not? So I have gluten-free bread, and Shantae will have, I'm running through my head, oatmeal. So I'll cook Shantae oatmeal. Depending on the season, she'll either have apples in it or strawberries, all the details that you would love to have. But breakfast is exactly the same. So if you're looking for a way to make your day easier, automate your stuff. I don't have to think about what we're having for breakfast or what to get at the store, because it's the same thing every single week. Same thing goes for dinner. So dinner's exactly the same. Monday, Wednesday are my heavy client work days for sure. It's my back end work days. So I schedule clients from 10 to 4:30, sometimes 5. And it's not just one client, but I have client blocks. So I'll schedule all my clients, and they know when they're scheduled a month to 2 months ahead of time, sometimes 3. So I'll schedule them out, and I have all of my back end client work days, blocked out. So Monday, Tuesday, and then some Tuesday, Thursdays. It depends. So I used to have 0 client work, back-end client work on Tuesday, Thursday, but I have since taken away live call time to become back-end work days. So less live calls, and I do back-end work. Tuesday, Thursday, I have a lot of either face-to-face calls or, again, client work. So those are the only days that I do get on a Zoom call. I don't get on Zoom calls Monday, Wednesday, Friday. And then Wednesday is the first Wednesday of the month. I have my SEO school call, and I have my SEO inner circle call. The second Wednesday, I moderate Shantae's Mafia call, and that's it. And then Fridays are my flex day. So Fridays, sometimes I'll have client work. Sometimes I will do education work. Sometimes I will take the whole day off. Fridays are really a flex day for me, and I enjoy that so much. I will say that I am typically head down at my desk from 10 to 4, and I will take a walk, or I'll go outside to take a break, but I am very much so in the grind, because if I don't, then my work carries through the day. So I like to close out my work at the end of the day. I do like to answer emails by the end of the day or within 2 days of someone. It's 48 hours typically, but I'll be honest with you, some emails I prioritize current clients. So if you're someone who is not existing as a client, then if you email me, it may take me, forever to get back to you, because I prioritize all my existing client stuff and my own schedule. So if I finish up at 4:05 with current client emails and I have some emails sitting in my inbox for folks who aren't existing clients, then it will go and get pushed to the following day or whenever I get back to my email. And that morning time sometimes is when I will answer emails as well. So that's like really the work day. I will say after work, I either work out, play piano. I sometimes read. I always cook dinner. I like to cook dinner. And dinner is also very automated. We have a list of 6 to 7 dinners that we cycle between. And then every once in a while I will mix in a recipe that I find online. And that's like 1 or 2 times a week. Recently it's been more like 1 time a week and if that, but we cycle between the same meals because again, automation makes life so much easier and neither of us are people who have to be entertained by food. Like sometimes we'll have a craving and we'll order out, but we don't have to be entertained by food. So it's not something that, needs to change for us. And it makes it really easy to plan the day. We typically don't eat until like 7:30 or 8 at night. It's just how it ends up shaking out between both of us lifting and, working and calls and what have you. And we eat late. It's typical. I feel like that's all the details around that. Something that I feel like I should mention that I mentioned in my Instagram stories that people were DMing me about that were so surprised. I don't typically like to work out. So like, it's fine. I am very grateful for I'm able-bodied and I am able to work out, but, I'm not someone who's like excited to lift. I think lifting it's very good. I've accepted that I have to do it forever and ever. Like with autoimmune disease and, aging, you have to commit to it. And so I've committed to it, but I'm not a person who like wakes up and I can't wait to get to my daily lift. Like I absolutely not. What I do like to do and like what I don't feel like I get enough of is just kind of relaxing and I will say intentionally going outside to play with Moose. I have since been pairing like walking with some work tasks or going outside and sitting in the grass and like also pairing a work task and like been okay with that. But I do want to say that I would love to get to a place where I am very intentional, like with my brick, where I am just I'm planning time to not be doing work and pairing it with a fun thing. I obviously can't pair anything with piano, which is lovely. I love that for myself, and reading. So I can't pair things with that. I can't do 2 at the same time. And then when it comes to lifting, there are times where I will answer client stuff while I lift. And I used to be like, this is my time. I don't want to pair it with work. It makes less enjoyable. But at the end of the day, like for me, as long as I'm getting the 2 things done, I feel fine about it. And I've been pretty good about that. The one thing that I shared with a client of mine, she listens to my podcast typically, so she may recognize this as a conversation we had, but so hello to that person. I will say that I bargain with myself a lot. So I am the person who I'm like, once I leave my desk, I don't want to return back at night. I have a really tough time working after the sun goes down. My brain just kind of like shuts off. And it was like that in college as well. And I had to really, oh God, the amount of like damage I think I did to my system in college. I would stay up really late, even though I wasn't really getting anything out of it and I would study, but I'm like, I'm not getting anything out of this. And it's 2 a.m. Like that's just not the way my brain works. But, when it comes down to it, I was, I just shut down at night. So what I do is if I leave my office, typically I know that I'm not going to be able to come back here to work. And so I will bargain with myself and like, okay, I'm going to make a coffee. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to do work for 45 minutes. And then I will do the work, or I'm going to get a snack. I'm going to do this thing, work for 45 minutes, and then I'll be done. So I do a lot of bargaining with myself and I don't really care. Like, I think it might be viewed as, maybe you should find a different solution, but it works really well for me. So I'm a super motivated, driven person. And like when I want to do something, I will definitely get it done. But there are times where I'm like, man, I just don't want to do this right now. And I will bargain with myself to get it done. And when I set a time frame, I'm really, really good about, holding myself to it and just getting it done. I will also say that I am a person who has to be entertained by my workspace. So sometimes if I'm like not feeling it and I'm not feeling like I'm getting stuff done or my brain is just off, there are a couple solutions I have. The first solution I have is I will get on my treadmill and walk. The second thing, I will move my workspace. So I have my desktop computer, but sometimes I just have to go to my laptop, and I will go into a different room on my laptop and do work there. At night, if I work, I have to use my laptop because I just don't want to sit in my office all day and all night. So if I'm like in an extended work period, I do like to go to my laptop to work there. And my last resort is honestly an energy drink, and it is the Reign energy drinks. I'm like, why can I not think of the name? So Reign is like the only, and it's not the little can, it's the big can. The Reign energy drink is the only one that I can really drink that makes me focus. So I do that. And that's my other solution for like times that I need to get things done. I will say that if I'm in the middle of a project, I can typically work around that and I don't need the extra stuff, but I will say like I will have coffee at 5 p.m. I will have an energy drink at 5 p.m. and it doesn't keep me up at night. So I do wish sometimes that I was affected on the energy side of things, but the focus side of things, I will say the Reign is the only energy drink that makes me feel like I'm focused. Whereas like the other ones just make me feel either nothing at all, which is very typical, or sometimes jittery, but realistically it's typically nothing at all, which again, sometimes I wish I was more affected by energy drinks because it would be helpful to be able to lean on those every once in a while, but it is what it is. I'm trying to think of anything else that I'm missing here as far as like daily stuff goes. Oh, every Wednesday at 7 a.m. we have volleyball for an hour and a half. And on the weekends, Saturday morning, we have volleyball for an hour and a half. And then sometimes we play. Sometimes we play games with friends, meaning volleyball games, on Friday morning. And that's like a time that both of us, Shantae and myself, can take time off of work to go play in the morning and be done by 9. And then again, we're going back into our morning routine. So we get home at 9 and then we typical breakfast and work at 10 or do whatever at 10. But I feel like that kind of gives you an inside look of like, I don't always talk on social media or post what I'm doing every day because it genuinely is like the same thing. My schedule doesn't really change. But I do think there are some times where folks who like don't necessarily understand what I'm doing potentially maybe, or people who I've known in like a past life, if you will, they'll be like, oh, it looks like you're at the beach all the time. And I'm like, we literally go to the beach when we have volleyball and that's it. We live near the beach, but I am very much so like I'm working a lot. Like, and I know that I work a lot. Our neighbors, or I ran into our neighbors. They're the best people. They, Cindy, she said to her husband, Scott, she was like, they work a lot. When she was talking about Shantae and I to Scott, I was standing there. Obviously, we were having a conversation. I was talking about work and blah, blah, blah. And she was like, yeah, they work a lot. So we are like working a lot, I will say. But again, I'm not like bitter about the amount that I work because I schedule my work around my life. So it feels really good typically. And I'm trying to think about any other behind the scenes stuff that you don't really know or that you haven't seen. There's really nothing. The biggest things that I feel like that make the biggest difference in my life or our lives is the automation of our food and the fact that we don't have to be entertained by it. And then the commitment to our morning routine and how we do things every day, and having it be the same. Like both of us thrive on routine. We love a routine. So it's very, very nice. And I will say that it's so great to be able to have a person that's also as committed to the routine because we just have the routine. We do our thing. And it's the same every day, which makes it so nice. So I feel like that's it. We also watch a lot of TV at night. I used to never watch TV. Like genuinely, if you asked me what was on TV or a commercial or whatever, I would say I have no idea. And then when Shantae and I started dating, she has her nighttime is like her reset time. So when she spends all day with clients, she has to, reset and chill at night, which of course all of us do. And she prefers to watch TV. So we watch a lot of series together. We just started Ted Lasso, but we watched a lot of TV series and I really enjoyed that like decompression time, if you will, at night. And then if she ever watches one of her shows that I'm not necessarily as into, I typically read or I'll just scroll socials, or I'll fall asleep. I'm also very good at falling asleep during anything after 8 p.m. because my brain is tired. I'm a very sleepy person. Okay. I feel like this was like a very run-on, pointless episode, but I hope you've enjoyed listening to the behind the scenes stuff that you may not have answers for or just wondered about. But if you have more questions, I'm happy to answer them. Would love to know. It's definitely something that I enjoy. I enjoy answering, and I don't mind answering. So feel free to ask if you have more questions. But if you feel like you want to implement something that we do, because it sounds like it makes things a little bit easier, more streamlined, my push would be for automating meals and having like a rotating schedule of meals. If you're able to do that, obviously we don't have kids. We don't have to do that. We don't have to feed a bunch of people. It's just us two. I would say that. And then committing to whatever I say morning routine because we're not like meditating and like whatever. It's not that type of morning routine. I just mean like we don't start work until X time. So I feel like doing whatever you need to do and creating the space to do what you need to do to feel good every day if you're able to, or at least a couple times a week, because that way you can get things set and feel good going into your day, or even if it's a night routine, like whatever routine you need to do in order to set yourself up for success for the current day or the next day, like do that. All right. Again, happy to answer questions. Felt like it's a random episode, but I also feel like these are the things that I wonder about other people. And I'm like, I don't know. Do you cook? Like, do you buy groceries? I buy groceries on Saturday or Sunday, and I'm always like, I should have went the previous day. Like I have to go today, and I'm like, I should have went yesterday, because I just don't. Errands are not a fun thing for me. I don't like errands. I don't know who does like errands. Maybe it's a no one likes errands type of situation, but I don't like errands. Errands are not fun. We did Instacart for like a year, and I will be honest with you, I cannot believe we did that. Instacart is actually so expensive. Because all the groceries are marked up, and I was like, oh my God, Shantae, this is bad. Like, obviously it's a problem. And like I'm happy to give folks, pay people to do the grocery shopping. And we were in like a busy work season. So I was like, man, like Instacart is so much easier. So we were doing that so much. And then I learned how much the things are marked up, and I was like, oh my God, this is way too much. Like we can't be doing this anymore, especially Costco. I was like, oh my God, we cannot do this. We need to just go. And everything is so close to here. It's just like, again, like we were in a busy work season. So outsourcing that at the time was easier than not. So again, very blessed to be able to do that. But also looking back, I was like, oh my God, we wasted so much money. You live and you learn. You live and you learn. And now I make the time to go, or we make the time to go together to Costco, because we also donate monthly to the food pantry. So she'll get the food pantry stuff and I'll get our groceries. And then we just check out separately, and then we meet at the car. And it's very, very, very quick, if you will. We're very, I'm not a leisurely shopper, and neither is Shantae. We go in, get what we need, and we leave. Like there's no meandering. I'm not a meandering shopper. That's not the way that either of us roll, which is great. I love that she's also the same way. I'm like, let's go and get out. We're done here. I don't want to be hanging out. Okay. I'm going to call it. I hope you enjoyed learning some more details that may or may not have been helpful. Maybe you're sitting here like, I just wasted half an hour of your life. I don't know. Forgive me if that's the case. If you have questions, let me know. Happy to answer them, because obviously there are things that I didn't answer here. I feel like I also need to say I never get dressed, guys. It's a random thing to say, but like I'm in yoga pants and a sweatshirt pretty much every single day. If I put jeans on or if I do my hair, Moose is like, where the hell do you think you're going? Where do you think you're going? You're getting dressed? Huh. You must be leaving the house. Yeah. So the work from home outfit is real. And then I'll switch to gym clothes, and then I'll switch to my nighttime clothes, and it's just a different pair of sweatpants. I'm also not a person who needs to get dressed in order to get work done. I'm not. And I love that for myself, because it just makes, again, everything is so automated. I'm like, what yoga pants am I going to wear today? Work from home, man. I never got out of the whole like COVID business on top, party on the bottom type situation. Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, I'm going to stop now. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, let me know if you have more questions, and if I wasted 35 minutes of your life, well, you'll never get that back. Sorry about that. And I will come with a more tactical episode next week. I appreciate you listening. I will get you next time.